February 1959. 9 experienced hikers entered the frozen wilderness of the Ural Mountains in northern Russia. They were young, skilled, and well prepared. But something happened on a remote mountain slope that night, something so terrifying that it made them cut their way out of their tent and run into the freezing darkness. Barefoot, some wearing only underwear. And when investigators later found their bodies, the mystery only deepened. Some had crushed skulls. Others had broken ribs. One was missing her tongue. And to this day, no one knows exactly what happened. But before we continue, ask yourself this: what could possibly make 9 trained hikers flee their shelter? Welcome to the Hidden Mind Archive. This is the mystery of the Dyatlov Pass Incident. The Expedition. In late January 1959, a group of young Soviet hikers set out on a challenging winter expedition. Their leader was Igor Dyatlov, a 23-year-old engineering student and experienced outdoorsman. The group planned to trek through the northern Ural Mountains, one of the harshest winter environments in Russia. The journey was meant to earn them a prestigious hiking certification. Every member of the expedition was highly trained. They documented their trip with journals and photographs, and at first, everything seemed normal. They laughed, they sang. They pushed through the deep snow as they moved deeper into the mountains. But the mountain they were approaching carried an ominous name. In the local Mansi language, it was called Kholat Shakhl, which translates to the Mountain of the Dead. At the time, none of them knew that the name would soon feel disturbingly appropriate. The night everything changed. On February 1st, the hikers set up camp on the slope of the mountain. The weather was brutal, heavy winds, temperatures dropping far below freezing. Still, they pitched their tent and settled in for the night. But sometime during the dark hours of that night, something went terribly wrong. What happened inside that tent remains one of the greatest mysteries in modern history. The Search. Weeks later, when the group failed to return, a search party was sent into the mountains. Friends, students, and rescue teams combed the snowy terrain looking for signs of the missing hikers. Eventually, they discovered the campsite, but what they found there immediately disturbed investigators. The hikers' tent was still standing, but it had been cut open from the inside, as if the people inside had been desperate to escape. Even more strange, the hikers had left behind their boots, their coats, their supplies. Footprints in the snow showed the group walking away from the tent, barefoot, into the freezing night. At this point, investigators were baffled. What would you have done in that situation? Would you stay inside the shelter or run into the darkness? The first bodies. Following the trail of footprints, rescuers eventually discovered the first 2 bodies. They were found near a large cedar tree. The 2 hikers had attempted to start a fire, but they had frozen to death. Soon after, 3 more bodies were discovered. They were lying between the tree and the campsite. As if they had tried to return to the tent, but they never made it. And yet, the strangest discoveries were still to come. The final discoveries. Months later, when the snow finally began to melt, search teams found the remaining 4 hikers buried deep beneath the snow. And what investigators saw shocked them. Several of the victims had severe internal injuries, broken ribs, crushed skulls, but strangely, their bodies showed almost no external trauma. It was as if they had been struck by an incredible force. One of the victims was missing her tongue. Another had strange radiation traces on their clothing. And yet, there were no signs of a struggle, no evidence of another group, no clear explanation, only questions. The theories. Over the decades, many theories have been proposed. Some believe the hikers were caught in a sudden avalanche. Others think they may have encountered secret Soviet military tests, experimental weapons, explosions, or toxic gas. Some researchers suggest an extremely rare natural phenomenon known as infrasound, low-frequency vibrations that can cause panic and disorientation. But none of these theories fully explain all of the evidence. Why would experienced hikers abandon their shelter? Why were some of the injuries so severe? And why did the group leave without proper clothing in temperatures below -30 degrees? Even today, investigators and researchers continue to debate what really happened that night. Final reflection. More than 60 years later, the mystery of Dyatlov Pass remains unsolved. 9 hikers entered the mountains, but none of them returned. The wind still howls across the frozen slopes of Kolatsyakl, and the mountain continues to guard its secret. But now I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think happened that night? Was it an avalanche, a secret military test, or something far stranger? Let us know your theory in the comments below, because sometimes the greatest mysteries in history are the ones we may never fully understand. And the truth might still be buried somewhere beneath the snow of the mountain of the dead.